Hello everybody and welcome back to my booktube channel. Today I'm going to be doing my April wrap-up. So I think I read 8 books in April and I read 2 plays, which I don't know if I'm gonna count those as books I read or not. I'm still debating. I will talk about them though, just because I did put them on my Goodreads. So per usual, I'm not gonna go into like synopses of these books. I'm just gonna talk about the star rating that I gave them and my general thoughts on like the book. We're just gonna get into it. First one was The Titan's Curse, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars. I gave the first 2 books in this series 5 out of 5 stars, but this one was just like not quite at a 5-star. But I did think that the backstory of, damn it, what's her name? I really liked Zoe as a character, so I was happy to read about her some more. It was good. Moving on. Then I read The Battle of the Labyrinth, which was also good. I think I gave this one, yes, I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. There was just a lot of Greek myths in here that I find personally really interesting. Like obviously there are some in this one too, but just like some of my favorites are in here, like the story of Ariadne and her string for the labyrinth, and then also Theseus and the Minotaur, which I also love that myth. So this one just got a 5 out of 5 because you know, good stuff. I haven't gotten to the 5th book in this series yet, and I probably am gonna read it in May, I think. So next up, I read The Near Witch by V.E. Schwab. This was her first published novel, I believe. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews on this. A lot of people don't really like this book as much as her other work because it's slow, but honestly, I loved the pacing of this. I love a good slow book. It reminded me a lot, like pacing-wise, of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which a lot of people also didn't like that one because it was slow, so I guess it makes sense, but I love slow books when they're done well, and I think this one was done so well. I loved all the witchiness in it. I loved the little romance. They were cute together. Like, it wasn't super developed, but I still thought it was cute. This book gave me like Crucible vibes, which I read like 4 years ago and I need to reread. So like I could be wrong, but I think it gives me Crucible vibes. So after that, I read the 2 Greek plays that I'm going to talk about. So I read The Frogs and Clouds, which are both by Aristophanes. I don't really have like much to say about either of them, but I did read them. But one of them has the funniest quote. The Frogs follows like Dionysus and some other dude. He's not important, but there's just this one part where Dionysus is like, oh dear, now I declare I've got a bump on my rump. And I lost it. Like, I was not expecting that. So that's literally all I have to say about those. Next up, so I really like Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I wasn't as big of a fan of Wayward Son, but I still like her books and her writing style. And like Fangirl was okay. Wasn't the biggest fan, but I wanted to try another book by her. So I read Landline, and I kind of gave that book a 2 out of 5 stars. I don't think I've rated a book less than a 3 so far this year, but this book, I read it and it was like decently interesting. It's about like this magical phone that lets you talk to someone in the past, but the characters in this book are so, I guess it's more so the main character is just so not likable. Like, she really doesn't have much of a personality. Like, the whole premise of this book is like she is writing this like show with her best friend, and she was gonna go to her husband's parents for Christmas, but she couldn't because she had to stay back and write the show that she's been like wanting to write her whole life. It's like her dream. So you'd think her husband would be like, oh yeah, like it's fine, like we can do Christmas another time. But it turns into this like this whole thing, and she thinks that they're like getting a divorce and they're having a falling out, but there's like no communication between the two whatsoever. So I don't know why she starts to think these things. Her like mother and her sister also think her marriage is over when they don't know anything, so they're literally just stressing her out for no reason. And this book makes me mad. I don't like any of the characters really. Like, I don't know, all the people in this book annoyed me. Was not a big fan. On a more happy note, I read Heartstopper Volume 2. I love this graphic novel series so much. I love Nick and Charlie. They're so cute together, and I can't wait to read Volume 3. And I thought Volume 4 came out in May, but I guess it comes out in December, so I don't know why I thought it came out in May. Obviously, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I, for the most part, rate graphic novels like a 4 or 5. Like, if the storyline's cool and I like the illustrations, that's a 5 out of 5 stars for me. Next up, the biggest book that I've read so far this year actually is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I liked it so much more than I expected to, and now I just think I need to start reading more high fantasy because I clearly love it. I find that when a book is longer, I typically give it like a 4 or 5 stars just because you get to know the characters so well and you like love them and you can't bear to give them like a 3 stars. So yes, I loved the characters in this book. I thought the plot lines were super interesting. I have the next one on my shelf back there, so I'm so excited to get to it after my finals are over. Syl was my favorite character in this one, and I know she's like not like a major character and she like doesn't really have much of a personality, but I still love her. Next up, I read Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. I'll give this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked this book. So a lot about this book was like kind of cliche and kind of predictable, but I still really loved it. It's about a witch and a witch hunter who have to get married, and I need to read more like forced marriage, enemies to lovers books because I love the angst. So those are the thoughts on this book. I read this book so quickly. Like, this was addictive to read. I started it on a Sunday and I finished it kind of within a day, I think, and it's like 500 pages, so it's not like super short. So the last book that I read is Plato Symposium for my Greek literature class. Trust me, I did not just read this because I wanted to. But honestly, I really liked this one. If you don't know what a symposium is, it's just a bunch of aristocratic men sitting around, getting drunk, talking about philosophy. Although they aren't drunk in this one, which is a bold move. They talk about like what love is, what love means to them, why do people love, just that kind of thing. And it was very interesting to read, actually. Like, I don't know, I didn't think I was gonna like this one that much, but it surprised me. So that is my April wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, like the video, subscribe, whatever. You don't have to. Comment down below, what are you reading this month? I'd like to talk about it, have a little chat. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.